Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wolfe Pit and another episode of What Are We Eating? Ramen noodles. People of all walks of life eat these. Rich people, poor people, and even prisoners love a good bowl of ramen noodle. Whether it's Marukan's Taste of Asia Sukiyaki ramen, which I thought would be different and better than the typical ramen, but it wasn't. It was about the same, average. Or you're making an inexpensive, fancy gourmet dinner for two in hopes that you get lucky with that special someone for making a great meal out of nothing. In my case, she either didn't like the ramen or she didn't like me because all I got was a let's be friends and a hug goodnight. Ungrateful prude. Even prisoners love ramen and they get very creative with it and make things like this prison pad thai, which was very good. So good that if Big Chuck in Cell Block 5 tasted it, he'd want to be your snuggle bunny and spoon. And we all know that spooning leads to forking, so don't let Big Chuck taste your pad thai. Now for today's ramen. This is Pot Noodles Bombay Bad Boy. I've never even heard of pot noodle until a viewer suggested I try them. The viewer told me these were really bad, and from what I could find on the internet, everyone who's tried them says the same thing. When I kept hearing how bad they were, I had to try them. Pot Noodles Bombay Bad Boy are noodles in an incredibly hot curry flavored sauce with vegetables and a little sachet of hot fire chili sauce. These cook really quick and are ready in 4 minutes. And now for the ingredients, and there's one ingredient I do not see, and that's MSG. The maltodextrin and yeast extract contain manufactured glutamic acid. And from my understanding, and I could be wrong, this is basically man-made MSG. I'll leave a link in the description box with more information on MSG and free glutamic acid and more hidden names for ingredients that contain these. Like I said before, I like MSG and it does not affect me, but I'm sharing this information for the people that it does affect. I don't want to get into a big debate on whether MSG affects certain people or not. If people say MSG affects them, then I believe them. And I don't care how many studies have been done to prove otherwise. Dude! Shut the fuck up! They got the idea! Now get on with the video! And now for the nutrition facts. And I found this very interesting, but they gave you the nutrition facts twice. The serving size is the whole pot. There's 436 calories, 17 grams of total fat, 7.9 grams of saturated fat, 61 grams of carbohydrates, 2.7 grams of sugars, 4 grams of fiber, 9.8 grams of protein, and 1,200 milligrams of sodium. And either this is an old pot of noodles, or it has a really short shelf life, which would be very surprising. As soon as I opened it, it smelled like I walked right into a 7-Eleven. Haven't you guys ever noticed when you walk into a 7-Eleven, it smells like BO? Well, that's exactly what this smelled like. And no offense to the 7-Eleven workers. I don't know if it's them or the chili for the big bites. So in the container you can see you have a lot of seasoning and a packet of hot sauce. I tasted the seasoning and it didn't really have a lot of flavor dry. The directions say to rip the lid off and whip out the sachet. That reminded me of one of my favorite movies. Can anyone guess where this came from? Excuse me while I whip this out. Then I was supposed to add boiling water to the fill level, and there was 2 lines on the inside of the bowl, so I don't know which one was the fill level, so I filled it to the top. And while doing so, I got more water on the table than I did in the pot. It didn't say anything about covering the pot back up, but that's what I normally do, so that's what I did. Or as Justin Wilson used to say, that's what I'm gonna did. Then let it sit for 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, give it a mix. And honestly, Tabasco sauce is hotter. After a total of 4 minutes, our Bombay Bad Boy noodles are done. And they sure didn't look very good, but the smell got a little bit better. It smelled more like curry now than it did BO. So I wanted to try the noodles by themselves before adding the hot sauce. And I was very surprised. They didn't really have a lot of flavor whatsoever. I was really hoping for that good pungent flavor of curry. So then I whipped out the sachet of hot sauce and poured it in. I guess it's supposed to be like a gimmick because it really had no flavor, just a little bit of burn. They advertise it as hot fire chili sauce. Honestly, Tabasco sauce is hotter. And then let it sit for another 2 minutes. Then I gave it a good mixy-loo. This stuff just does not look good, does it? And then I try to bite with the hot sauce. And by this point, the noodles in the broth are really starchy. And again, there's really no flavor whatsoever. Just a little bit of burn from the hot sauce. These pot noodles were exactly as described. Awful. I got these from Amazon for $5.02, and they came from England, so all of that was shipping. The cheapest, most inexpensive ramen noodles we have here in the States that cost 25 cents are 100 times better than this. I didn't like anything about these noodles, so I'm not even going to give them a rating. Thank you all very much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.